Hi everyone. I just wanted to make this video to share my story and everything that I went through with med injury, benzodiazepine injury. I just wanted to share my experience, and then I wanted to share where I'm at now. My cognition is really not that great still, so it might be all over the place. But yeah, I just feel like I really needed to share my story and get it out there in order for me to kind of like move on. And hopefully my story can maybe help someone, and so that you don't feel alone on this journey. And maybe I can give you like a little bit of hope. It's still really hard for me to talk about because it's so traumatic, and hopefully I'm not going to be crying the whole video. I made a video prior to this, but it was an hour long, and it was just too much. So I'm going to try to make this a little shorter, and there's going to be so much missing because, you know, in this journey there is just like so many symptoms and so many things, but I'm gonna try to do my best. So basically it all started about 6-7 years ago. I was in a car accident, and after the car accident I started developing a lot of really horrible symptoms. Racing heart, pounding heart, low blood pressure when standing, so like the orthostatic stuff, dizziness, feeling flu-like, had trouble breathing, really bad air hunger, weird tingling in my body. So anyways, I was having trouble breathing, so I went to the hospital and they did a chest x-ray and they told me that there was inflammation in my lungs. So they give me an IV of prednisone, which is a steroid, and then they also give me albuterol, which is a breathing treatment. I think that also has really horrible side effects. And they also give me oral steroids. And right away, it felt like I was gonna jump out of my skin. My heart was going so fast. I was so jittery and shaking. And I'm not going to go into like too much details with this because I just want to make this video shorter, but it started the non-stop panic attacks, like one after another. I was calling an ambulance every single day. I felt like I was seriously losing my mind. So anyways, the hospital, of course, they don't say it was an adverse reaction to steroids. They just say that I'm developing a panic disorder. They give me Ativan, and I remember it took the edge off for a little bit, and then literally an hour later, these panic attacks kept happening. It was like extreme adrenaline dumps, and just one after another. And then they gave me Zofran, and then they sent me home, and they just told me to take Xanax as needed. So these panic attacks, they're not stopping. It's so crippling. I feel like I'm dying. So I'm taking the Xanax. The Xanax is like barely taking the edge off. It's working a little bit, and you know, I should have took that as a sign that, you know, these pills don't even work. Why would I even take them? But anyways, I'm still calling. This is over like a span of a week. Calling the ambulances, I'm in the hospital, I'm taking Xanax, I go to the hospital, and they're giving me Ativan on top of that. And then they give me Klonopin, I'm taking that, it takes the edge off, but then hours later it's like nonstop panic attacks. So I land in the psych ward, and that alone was a really traumatic experience. I mean, nothing compared to what recently happened to me, and that's when the polydrugging started. They started me on nortriptyline because they told me it was safe, and they give it to geriatric patients. They put me on boost bar. I go a week without the benzo because I'm like, I can't take this shit. I'm not taking it anymore. So I go a week without it. And then none of the meds are working. I'm getting sicker and sicker. I feel like I'm dying every day. The heart symptoms get 10 times worse. So I end up switching meds so many times. I end up on Lexapro, Klonopin. I'm on fludrocortisone, which is a steroid for POTS and dysautonomia. I'm on the, I don't know if I already said, I'm on the boost bar. All right, so this is going on for a while. I'm just getting sicker and sicker. I find out I have Lyme disease, and I do so much treatment for that. I get a PICC line. I'm doing like 5 different antibiotics at once. I'm doing PICC line antibiotics, oral antibiotics, and at this point too, I'm like switching antidepressants again. I'm tapering the Klonopin this whole time. I started tapering Klonopin like right away, and I didn't know anything about it, so I'm just like breaking off tiny little pieces, like every 4 weeks or so. So anyways, just polydrugging over the years. I'll get to the part where like my brain literally blew up and things just got so much worse. So for like many years, I'm like suffering really bad, doing tons of Lyme treatment. I'm still able to like function. I can't have a job. I can't work or anything. I think I had a part-time job for a short period of time, but then I was just too sick, so I had to stop. I still somewhat had a brain. Like I still had joy. I could watch TV. I could distract. I felt love. And then, okay, so I had really bad restless legs to the point that I would wake up in fetal position, rocking and crying every single day. I had horrible insomnia, getting 2 to 3 hours of sleep. I felt like I had the flu 24/7. And then really bad pot stuff, and that was like my worst symptoms. So they're adding so many different drugs to help with pain and sleep. So at this point, I am on Klonopin, Prozac, gabapentin, a muscle relaxer, the fludrocortisone, and then they add amitriptyline. So I go on 5 milligrams of amitriptyline. I take it for like 1 to 2 months, and I'm like, this shit is not working. Like I gotta get off. So I stop at cold turkey, because obviously that's what they say. It's such a low dose that you can just stop it. And oh yeah, and by the way, like 3 months prior to me going on the amitriptyline, I actually cold turkeyed the Prozac that I had been on for, I don't know, a year, 2 or something. So anyways, I cold turkey amitriptyline. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. And it was like a bomb went off in my brain. I felt suicidal for the first time in my entire life. And I was so scared. I didn't know what was going on. It felt like I was losing my mind. It was that feeling where it's like, oh my God, like I have to kill myself. And so I called my psych doctor on call at the time, and I told him that I was tapering the Klonopin. I told him I came off the Prozac, and told him I just stopped the amitriptyline. And he, of course, says that, I have to go back on the meds, and that's the reason why I felt like that. And I was like, no, like I never felt this in my life before. Like something is seriously so wrong. I said it's from the meds. And he wanted me to go back, updose the Klonopin, and then go back on Prozac. So I end up going back on Prozac. Like I'm just so desperate for relief. and things just, again, it was like a bomb went off in my head. I felt completely suicidal, so agitated, it felt like I was losing my mind. I had really bad rage, and then I think I was just so scared that I ended up updosing the Klonopin. I got down to 0.25 milligrams and I updosed to 0.5. And then I just realized it's like, I need to get the hell off of this shit. Like, this is my problem. Like, it's making me so sick. I've never felt like this before. And the Prozac too, it made me feel, it took away any joy I had left. Like, completely suicidal 24/7 with anhedonia. Like, just a complete brain dead zombie. I remember looking at the TV and it's like, I'm like, Lauren, just watch TV. Like, and I couldn't. It was just impossible. I was completely brain dead, drooling with like, I guess it wasn't, I don't know, it was like severe depression and then feeling suicidal. But I guess back then it wasn't as severe as it was about to get. So things just kept getting worse and worse and worse. I end up cold turkeying the Prozac again. I think I tapered over a couple of weeks, which I think is considered a cold turkey. And I taper off the gabapentin. I stopped that. I stopped the fludrocortisone. I'm left on Klonopin and I was on progesterone, which was bioidentical, so I thought it was safe because it was natural. So I'm left on those two. Like, I'm barely getting through the day, and this is going back like 2.5 years ago. I can still function a little, like I could drive a little bit, I could go to the store, but it was like I was suffering so bad. And at that point, I literally thought I was like the worst person in the world. And I didn't realize it was gonna get 100 times worse. Like, I didn't think it could get any worse at that point. So I'm like really determined to get off the Klonopin and the progesterone. I cold turkey the progesterone, and like that is when hell broke loose. Then that's when I first experienced, or at least found out, what akathisia was. I felt like I was jumping out of my skin, like my chest was gonna explode. Like, I was completely just losing my mind. I could not stay still for 1 second. So suicidal. So I go back on the progesterone, and it would kind of help dampen that a little bit, but then I would be completely like brain dead and like really suicidal and just like a zombie. Like, I could not move. And so I kept trying to stop the progesterone. I did this about 10 times, and I believe I very severely kindled myself from the progesterone, since it works on the GABA receptors, the same as the benzo. So anyways, things get worse and worse. I'm so desperate. I go back on the progesterone this last time, and it's like the akathisia got so bad. Like, I didn't even think I would make it through that day. Like, I never experienced anything like that in my life. And, it was just the worst thing in the world. Like, when you experience akathisia at that level, it's like complete second-to-second survival. You feel like you have to end your life right away. It's absolutely unbearable. And so I'm stuck on the progesterone, and I start tapering both of them together. I'm tapering Klonopin and progesterone. Things are just getting worse and worse. I start getting, actually when I cold turkeyed the progesterone, the other reason why I went back on was I had severe neurological symptoms, like Parkinson's type symptoms, like very slow movements. It was very hard to walk and move, and it was like my brain wasn't sending signals to the rest of my body. Very hard to speak. Like, to speak, it would be really delayed, or it would stop. And it'd be really slow. And same with moving. It was like, it took like, it was hard to like move my hand, for instance. It was like the signals were getting cut off or something. So that's also why I went back on it. But anyways, once that last time I went back on it, it's like akathisia just, it stayed, and it was 24/7 unbearable torture. I became completely housebound, bedbound, couldn't leave the house anymore. I couldn't drive, couldn't watch TV. I was just completely surviving by distracting on my phone, talking to people that were going through the same thing, and then just searching in groups all day, like trying to find a solution. And so yeah, I'm okay. So I continue to taper both of them together, which I know is a really bad idea, and I just completely destabilize myself. And I start getting worse and worse. Like, I'm getting delirium, like just completely like unable to speak. It feels like I'm going completely brain dead, but yet internally screaming on the inside, completely exploding, tortured alive. Like, there's just no words. Like, I don't even know how I survived it. Like, what we go through is just, it's beyond what a human can endure. It's try not to cry. So I'm like, all right, I have no choice. I gotta be like this for a little bit. I gotta get the fuck off, and hopefully I could heal. And mind you, I had no windows, no relief. 24/7, like feeling suicidal, where you like cannot take one more second. Complete brain torture, like terror, mind racing 1,000 miles an hour. It felt like I was gonna slip into a coma or slip into psychosis. Agitated, chest exploding. I'm like rocking for hours and hours in my bed. Okay, and then I get lower on both the Klonopin and the progesterone. I'm getting like way more neurological stuff. Like complete brain torture. I used to explain it like it felt like I was under anesthesia, but someone was performing brain surgery on me, and I was internally screaming. And I would become mute where I could not speak at all, but I was screaming on the top of my lungs on the inside. And I could feel all these sensations, electricity in my brain. It felt like there was needles poking my brain. It felt like there was lidocaine on my brain. Like, it was just like complete neurological torture, like absolutely unbearable, mixed with everything else, mixed with akathisia and terror and mind racing, intrusive thoughts. I would even get like, your mind is going so fast and you don't even know what thoughts are going into your head. It's like, it's so hard to explain, but it just feels like you're losing your fucking mind. So anyways, I'm getting worse and worse. The pot symptoms are getting so bad. I wake up in the middle of the night with my heart going 180. I thought I was having a heart attack. I'm calling the ambulances like every single day because it feels like I'm literally seconds away from death. And prior to me calling the ambulances and going to the hospital, I was absolutely way too scared to even seek help because I was really scared that I was going to get locked up and drugged, and then that would be my instant death. I at least thought like staying home in my bedroom would give me a chance at surviving. But then I reached like this next level where it's like I'm about to die in literally seconds. I don't care if I get locked up or drugged. Like, I'm about to die. I don't want to die. And it was like, it's just so bad. I really don't even know how I survived and how I made it this far. And it's like the most traumatizing thing. I'm so sorry, I'm crying. It's just, my friend and I, like, we would compare this kind of trauma and experience to being kidnapped in a dungeon and tortured. Like, that's the comparison. So my heart's going crazy. I'm hospitalized like twice. I lose the ability to walk. I can't shower. I remember being hospitalized and I couldn't even make it to the bathroom in the room. Like, I literally had to go in a bedpan with assistance, like, to be stripped of basic functions and then to be tortured mentally. Like, I couldn't watch TV. And to be honest, I'm really lucky that I didn't have intense akathisia when I was when I was hospitalized twice, because I for sure would have been locked up. And they kept trying to like add meds, and I actually never told them that I was coming off of the benzo, because I know they would treat me like a drug addict or they would put me on meds. So I actually played it off like I had no idea what was happening. So anyways, after going to the hospital and calling ambulances, I'm not kidding, 20 times every single day, I'm getting this really scary symptom where my brain is shutting down, or my breathing goes really slow, my heart rate gets really slow. I can't speak at all, like everything's slow, like gonna slip into a coma in 5 seconds. So many symptoms, like I'll put down below like a list of my symptoms. It's just too much to go into detail about everything because there was 100 things at once. You know, by far the worst for me was obviously the akathisia and then the neurological torture. Those were the worst. And I started having really bad mast cell issues. It felt like I was in anaphylaxis 24/7. I was down to eating like maybe like 5 to 8 foods for 8 months. My throat muscles were constricting. I could not breathe at all. Like, I was checking my oxygen 24/7. Felt like I was suffocating to death 24/7. And that's a lot of the reason why I also went to the hospital, because it felt like my lungs were closed off. And then the heart stuff too. It's like I couldn't even sit up. If I sat up, my heart was going 160. And I was taking propranolol like around the clock because I was so desperate, and the propranolol ended up making me worse. I did wind up on this med called ivabradine, and I took that for 5 or 6 months, and it did help lower my heart rate. But anyways, at this point, it's just like, things are so bad, I don't think I'm gonna survive. I already didn't think I was gonna make it this far, and it's like, I just keep thinking like suicide is the only option. Like, I'm not gonna make it, I'm never gonna get better, I have brain damage, I can't even shower, I can't watch TV, I'm being tortured alive. But then like things very, very slowly get less intense. And another thing that I don't think a lot of people have, or I haven't found anyone, is that you cannot be around other people. Like, I couldn't talk on the phone at all. It would send electricity like through my brain and my body, and it would give me akathisia. And then being around people, it was like my brain and my nervous system could not handle it. I would get severe neurological symptoms. I would get brain shutdown, akathisia, and like this surge of electricity. Like, my brain was plugged into an electrical socket if I went near people. So it's like I had to be locked in my bedroom. Like I was able to be around my mom, but like I really had to be alone. I had to have earplugs in. It was just so bad. Like, when you're stripped, you can't even be around like loved ones or people. Like, it's literally like you're kidnapped in a dungeon being tortured. So that was really bad for me. And then obviously not being able to leave your house. Can't even go to the mailbox. I couldn't even sit outside. It was 100% impossible. And like, you know, there's different levels of severity. You know, there's a lot of people just say like, oh, you gotta push yourself. Like, I pushed myself to go to work, or I pushed myself to do this. But there's different levels. When you are that bad, like the people that are that bad, you know, the only thing you can do is literally survive seconds. Pushing is not an option. So if you are in a level where you cannot push, I hate to say this, but you are just very severe, and the only thing you can do is just survive. You're not weak. You just you're bad, and you just gotta survive, but it'll slowly get better. So things started slowly getting like little better, meaning I was able to shower again. I could walk. I started to be able to sit outside in my backyard for like 5 minutes, and like it felt like I had a to my head 24/7. Like that's the level of terror. I even, like, this is really embarrassing to share, but I was so bad to the point that going to the bathroom was absolutely terrifying. Like the terror and the akathisia I was scared to leave my bedroom and go to the bathroom. I had this really scary like impulse where I was afraid if I went to the bathroom I was going to end up jumping down the stairs, or I felt like this impulse to jump out of a window. Like it was just so terrifying. And so anyways, I started building up slowly, able to shower, do all those things. I still had SI 24/7, so I still can't watch TV. I can only be on my phone in groups all day and talking to people and just literally breathing every second and surviving. That's it. So I was unable to leave my house for over a year, like at all, not once. Unable to drive for that long as well. And then again, it just things slowly got less intense, and I worked my way up. So I think I'm gonna explain where I'm at now. And there's so many details like I missed out on. There's too much. But basically where I'm at now. So I'm not gonna lie, like it's still really hard to get through the days. Sorry, I'm trying not to cry. It's just really traumatic. So I'm much better compared to where I was. Like a lot better. But I'm still suffering really bad, and it's still very difficult to get through the days. But I can drive again. I can leave the house. I can shower. I can get ready. I can make myself meals. I can actually talk to my friend again. Like I wasn't able to talk to anyone normal. Like I could only talk to people that were like me. I can be around people a little bit. Like I still have a really hard time. I can't actually like hang out with friends. I can see my friend for a little bit, but like I just can't be around people for an extended period of time. So it's getting better, and it's better than it was. I still unfortunately get really bad waves of akathisia, and it's so traumatic. My God, I'm sorry. It's just the most traumatic thing. So I still get really bad waves of akathisia, and when it happens, oh my God, it just feels like I have to end my life right away. And I get so scared, and I'm like, oh my God, I made it through this whole video like without being this without like being this cry-y, if that's even a word. But yeah, when the akathisia waves happen, it's just really traumatizing, and it's just really unbearable, but it always goes away. I still have, I still feel like I'm fighting just, every second, but I'm in a level where I'm functional and I can push. So I'm in that level where I can push myself. you know, I still have SI, it's just less intense. I get bad waves of it, which are brutal. And then I just generally feel like just more at peace and more calm. Like I don't have to rock 24/7. You know, I can actually feel a little bit relaxed. Like I'm not in a 24/7 panic attack, 24/7 terror, like completely losing my mind. You know, I still get mind racing. One thing that's like really hard for me is, I don't know if it's like PTSD, but I get flashbacks of what I went through. And like it just all comes flooding, like the trauma is just like flooding in my brain, and it feels so unbearable to handle. Like it feels to the point where if someone's like, all right, you're gonna be fully healed tomorrow, but you have to deal with the trauma, it's like, holy shit, I don't know how I'm gonna handle the trauma. But I think the trauma is so intense because it's still very fresh and I'm still in it. And then I still have some neurological stuff. I still have pot stuff. The mast cell stuff it's much better than it was. I can eat almost anything. I'm scared of spices, which I'm working on, and obviously I stay away from high histamine foods. I can't be around chemicals, but it's really weird. I can actually dye my hair again. Anyone that like knew me in this and saw like pictures of me when I was so bad, my roots were like down to here. But yeah, I can dye my hair again. I use this like very specific bleach, and I can't use any other chemicals with it. So I can do that. I just can't be around like any kind of scents and perfumes and, you know, stuff like that. I didn't really talk much about the mast cell, but that was really severe for me. Actually, I don't remember if I talked about it, but it felt like I was in anaphylaxis 24/7. I was really convinced that I would have to use an EpiPen, and that's part of the reason why I was calling the ambulances every day. I had hives, rashes, burning skin, crawling skin, tight throat. I had hives in my mouth. Really scared me. But yeah, this is where I'm at now. I can go to the gym. I actually started running, so I can, like, I literally went from not being able to walk at all or shower, and now I just started running, like on the treadmill. I run, or jog, I should say. I jog for a mile. So things are very slowly improving. And then the little glimpses that I get, like little tiny glimpses of joy, like that's what keeps me going. The trauma's really, really hard. I think that's gonna be really big for me. I really need to work on the trauma. I just feel like what I went through, like, if I had to go through it again, I would never survive. Like, it's just not survivable. And it's just so scary. But I'm gonna be working on rewiring my brain and getting rid of old beliefs and just getting rid of all that stuff. Like, I'm just done drowning in all the symptoms 24/7, and, you know, talking about it, it's a lot easier said than done. You know, when you're in it and you're experiencing it, it's so hard not to talk about it. But yeah, and that's another reason why I felt like I needed to make this video, because I just want to get my story out there. But this will kind of help me like vent, and then maybe help me move on from this. And like another thing, I can't even remember what I already talked about. Like a really important piece of advice would be, I would say, just find some really positive people. I would not drown in groups or horror stories all day. I read a lot of really bad stuff. Like, I came across some kind of nasty people, like, saying that it was permanent brain damage, and that, like, I had people tell me it would be, and, like, I know it takes a long time to heal. Some people heal faster, others it takes longer, and I know there is people that have, you know, a really hard time and very long in this, but I had people telling me, like, yeah, it's gonna be another, like, 5 years for you, and it's like, how can I think about 5 years when I can't even get through one day, let alone, like, 5 minutes, you know? So I think it's just really important to just stick with, you know, reading positive things. And then, like, for me, I was searching in the groups trying to find someone similar to me. Like, I could not find many people that were this bad. And then I would find someone that had similar symptoms, and then I click on their page and they killed themselves. And then I would just think, like, well, if they didn't make it, like, I have to take my life too. Like, I have no chance at surviving this. So I just want to, like, give hope that, like, even if you are so bad, things can get better, and they will get better, and you can heal. And that's another really weird symptom I have, is it doesn't happen every day, but it's like, I've read about all of the suicide stories, and I get haunted by them. Like, the names and the faces just, like, flood in my brain, and it gives me zero hope, and it's like, Lauren, you're not gonna make it. Like, you have to end your life. But I think that's just a symptom. But yeah, it's really crazy. And then, yeah, I'm trying to think of if there's anything else I wanted to mention. Yeah, I feel like even making this video is just really hard for me, because I get in these phases where I'm, like, so bad that I just want to hide, and, like, I don't want anyone to know who I am, or I don't want anyone knowing, like, what I'm feeling. And so I feel like, and I get so triggered easily too. I think it's part of, like, the PTSD. But yeah, I think I'll keep it at that. I'm trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to add. Sorry, that was the chair. Yeah, I don't know. I might make another video and go into detail about what I'm doing to aid in my healing. But yeah, I'm not really gonna be, like, dwelling on the symptoms anymore. I don't really want to be talking about this that much, because I really do want to work on rewiring my brain, and, you know, having a fresh start, and having a new Lauren. Like, I'm getting glimpses of, like, my old self again, and it's, like, so amazing. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. I don't even know if this is gonna reach any kind of audience or who's gonna watch this, but I just want to ask kindly too that only, like, please be kind, only positive comments. I just don't want, you know, anything negative. But all right, bye.